Relationships. They shape our lives more than almost anything else. They bring us joy, comfort, and connection, but they can also be the source of our greatest struggles. How do we build stronger, healthier relationships? How do we navigate conflict, extend forgiveness, and cultivate bonds that last? Nearly 2,000 years ago, the Apostle Paul wrote letters that were meant to guide early Christian communities. But hidden within these letters are principles that go beyond theology. They offer profound insights into how we relate to one another. These aren't just spiritual truths, they're practical tools for building better relationships. Paul's letters were written in times of division, tension, and cultural clashes, not unlike today. Yet his wisdom on love, humility, forgiveness, and unity remains as relevant now as it was then. These 6 secrets are timeless keys that can transform not only our relationships, but also the way we see ourselves and others. Love is a choice, not just a feeling. Love, it's a word we hear everywhere. Songs, movies, and books tell us that love is the key to happiness. But what is love really? Is it just an emotion, a feeling that comes and goes? Or is it something deeper, something that requires action and commitment? Paul gives us one of the most profound definitions of love in his letter to the Corinthians. In what has become one of the most quoted passages of the Bible, he writes, "Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs." Paul's words remind us that love is not just a fleeting emotion. It's a choice. It's choosing patience when frustration arises. It's choosing kindness when anger feels easier. It's choosing to forgive, even when the hurt is deep. In every moment, love requires intentionality. This is the first secret to building strong relationships. Love is an action, not just a feeling. Paul's description of love goes beyond romance. It's about how we treat everyone, our spouses, children, friends, neighbors, even those who challenge us. Love, in Paul's view, is a daily decision to put others first, to seek their good, and to act in ways that reflect God's love for us. Paul's first secret is clear. Love isn't just a feeling that happens to us. It's a choice we make every day. By choosing to act in love, even when it's difficult, we strengthen our relationships and reflect the kind of love that transforms lives. Imagine how your relationships might change if you chose love, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. This is the foundation of Paul's relationship wisdom, and it's the first step to building connections that last. Humility builds bridges. When relationships break down, pride is often at the root. It's pride that says, "I'm right and you're wrong." It's pride that refuses to apologize or to listen. But Paul offers us a different path, one that doesn't build walls, but bridges. That path is humility. In his letter to the Philippians, Paul writes, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of the others." These words are a radical challenge to the way we often approach relationships. Humility isn't about thinking less of yourself. It's about thinking of yourself less. It's the willingness to put someone else's needs above your own, to step back from the need to be right or to win. Humility creates space for understanding, reconciliation, and growth. Humility builds bridges. When we approach others with humility, we invite them to do the same. Humility breaks the cycle of blame and defensiveness and opens the door to meaningful connection. But living with humility isn't easy. It requires us to let go of our ego and embrace vulnerability. Paul points to the ultimate example of humility, Jesus himself. In the same passage, Paul writes about how Jesus, though equal with God, humbled himself to serve humanity, even to the point of dying on a cross. If Jesus can embody that level of humility, what does that mean for how we treat one another? Humility isn't about putting yourself down. It's about lifting others up. It's about asking, how can I serve? How can I understand? How can I bring peace? Imagine how many conflicts could be resolved if we approached each other with the kind of humility Paul describes. Paul's second secret challenges us to reflect on our own relationships. Are we clinging to pride? Are we unwilling to apologize or listen? Humility asks us to take the first step, even when it feels uncomfortable. It asks us to value others, not because they're perfect, because they matter. Forgiveness sets you free. If there's one thing that can poison a relationship faster than anything else, it's holding on to a grudge. The pain of betrayal, disappointment, or misunderstanding can weigh us down, creating walls that keep us from truly connecting with others. But Paul offers a profound truth. Forgiveness isn't just for the person who hurt you, it's for your own freedom. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ, God forgave you. These words challenge us to let go of bitterness and extend the same grace we've received. Forgiveness, Paul teaches, is not about excusing someone's actions. It's about releasing the hold those actions have on your heart. Forgiveness sets you free. When we refuse to forgive, we hold on to pain, anger, and resentment that only serve to harm us. But forgiveness breaks that cycle. It creates space for healing, restoration, and even reconciliation. But forgiveness is often easier said than done. Paul understood this. That's why his letters continually point us back to Christ's example. Jesus forgave even those who crucified him. Paul reminds us that we too have been forgiven for more than we could ever repay. When we grasp this truth, it becomes easier to extend forgiveness to others. Forgiveness doesn't mean you forget what happened or that you ignore boundaries. It's not about pretending everything is fine. It's about choosing to release the power of the past over your present. It's about saying, I won't let this define me or control my future. Paul's words challenge us to examine our own hearts. Is there someone we need to forgive? Are we holding on to bitterness that's keeping us from peace? Forgiveness isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. When we forgive, we set ourselves free from the prison of anger and pain. Communication with grace. In any relationship, words hold incredible power. They can build bridges or burn them, heal wounds or deepen them. Paul understood this better than anyone, which is why he taught the importance of communicating with grace. He knew that how we speak shapes not only our relationships, but also our character. In his letter to the Colossians, Paul writes, "Your conversation be always full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone." These words reveal the fourth secret to building strong relationships: communication with grace. It's not just about what we say, it's about how we say it. Graceful communication begins with listening. It's about hearing the other person, even when you disagree. Paul's wisdom reminds us that words are like seasoning. Too much or too little can ruin the dish. The right balance, truth spoken with kindness and understanding, creates space for growth and connection. But why is this so difficult? In moments of frustration or conflict, it's easy to let emotions take over. We react instead of responding. Paul's words challenge us to slow down, to think before we speak, and to choose words that uplift rather than harm. This principle doesn't mean avoiding tough conversations. Graceful communication is about approaching those moments with respect, empathy, and a willingness to understand the other person's perspective. It's about asking yourself, how can I respond in a way that reflects love, not anger? How can my words bring healing instead of hurt? Paul's advice isn't just for times of conflict, it applies to every interaction. A kind word, a thoughtful response, or even silence in the right moment can transform a relationship. Communication with grace shows others that you value them, even when you don't see eye to eye. Paul's fourth secret reminds us of the lasting impact our words can have. Whether we're resolving conflicts, offering support, or simply engaging in conversation, our words have the power to shape the world around us. When we speak with grace, we create an environment where relationships can thrive. Encourage and build up others. In a world often filled with criticism and negativity, encouragement stands out as one of the most powerful tools we have to strengthen relationships. Paul understood this deeply, which is why his letters are filled with words meant to uplift and inspire others. He teaches us that encouragement isn't just a nice gesture, it's a vital part of building meaningful connections. In 1 Thessalonians 5:11, Paul writes, "Therefore, encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact you are doing." These words reveal a simple yet transformative truth. Relationships flourish when we focus on lifting each other up rather than tearing each other down. Encouragement isn't just about complimenting someone, it's about recognizing their efforts, supporting their growth, and reminding them of their value. It's about creating a culture of positivity and trust where people feel seen, appreciated, and empowered. This is the fifth secret to building strong relationships. Encouragement strengthens bonds. When we choose to see the best in others and call it out, we create an environment where they feel safe to grow, try, and even fail. Paul's words challenge us to be intentional encouragers, to look for opportunities to build others up, especially when they're struggling. But why is encouragement so impactful? It's because it speaks directly to our need for connection and affirmation. In a world that often highlights flaws and failures, a kind word or a genuine compliment can be a powerful reminder that someone believes in us. Imagine the impact if we all made encouragement a daily practice. How many relationships could be transformed? How many lives could be changed? Paul's fifth secret reminds us that the words we speak can be a source of strength, not just for others, but for ourselves as well. By choosing to encourage and build up others, we create a ripple effect that strengthens the people around us and deepens our connections. Paul's wisdom invites us to be intentional encouragers, seeing the potential in others and helping them believe in it too. Unity through selflessness. True unity in relationships doesn't happen by chance. It's not the result of everyone agreeing all the time or avoiding conflict. Paul reveals that unity is built through something much deeper: selflessness. When we choose to put the needs of others ahead of our own, we create a foundation where relationships can thrive. In his letter to the Romans, Paul writes, "Be devoted to one another in love." Honor one another above yourselves. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be proud, but be willing to associate with people of low position. These words paint a picture of unity that is grounded in humility, love, and a willingness to serve others. This is the sixth secret to building strong relationships. Unity is created through selflessness. It's about letting go of selfish desires and choosing to act in the best interest of the relationship. Paul's teaching challenges us to see relationships not as a competition, but as a partnership where everyone's well-being matters. But selflessness isn't always easy. It requires us to set aside our pride, our need to be right, and even our own comfort at times. Paul reminds us that selflessness doesn't mean losing our identity. It means embracing the shared purpose that strengthens relationships. One of the most powerful examples of selflessness is Jesus himself. Paul often points to Christ's sacrifice as the ultimate act of love and unity. In Philippians 2:5-8, he writes about how Jesus humbled himself to serve humanity. This kind of selflessness isn't about weakness. It's about choosing love over ego and unity over division. Paul's wisdom calls us to examine our own relationships. Are we prioritizing others, or are we focused on our own needs? Are we seeking harmony, or are we holding on to pride? Unity, through selflessness, requires us to make small, intentional choices every day. Choices to listen, to support, and to love without expecting anything in return. When we choose selflessness, we create relationships that are strong, enduring, and filled with trust. Paul's sixth secret reminds us that unity isn't about erasing differences. It's about embracing them and working together with a shared purpose. Selflessness is the glue that holds relationships together. Imagine the peace and connection that could come from putting others first. Paul's wisdom challenges us to live selflessly, knowing that when we do, we create bonds that can weather any storm. Paul's letters were written to guide and encourage early Christian communities, but their wisdom transcends time. These 6 relationship secrets aren't just ancient teachings. They're practical principles that can transform how we relate to those around us today. Paul's wisdom reminds us that strong relationships aren't built by chance. They're cultivated through intentional choices. They require us to look beyond ourselves, to listen, to forgive, and to love unconditionally. These 6 secrets are not just ideas to think about. They're actions we can take to transform our relationships and strengthen the bonds that matter most. We'll continue exploring timeless lessons from the Bible, uncovering truths that inspire us to live with faith, purpose, and connection. Thank you for joining us on this journey